here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku and this is the World News. Here are the top stories. Police to grill NLC President Joe Ajaro September 25 on terrorism financing. Zamfara government disowns documents alleging payments of huge funds to bandits for dialogue. Labour Party accuses Peter Obi, Alex Oti of fueling party crisis, and court threatens to commit EFCC chairman to prison over contempt. Details now. Now, a scheduled second interrogation of the Niger Labour Congress President Joe Ajaro by the police did not take place as it was yesterday as planned, with Ajaro and the NLC Secretary Emmanuel Ubuaja failing to appear at the Force Criminal Investigation Department in Abuja. A source familiar with the situation disclosed that the NLC leaders had informed the investigating team in advance that they would be unavailable for the scheduled interrogation. Counsel for the NLC, Femi Falana, who accompanied Ajaro to the police headquarters for his first appearance on August 29, had told the platform on Wednesday that Labour leaders might likely seek a postponement of the interrogation. Speaking further on the matter on Thursday, Falana said he wrote for another date as Comrade Joe Ajaro has an engagement outside Abuja. The police are quizzing Ajaro over allegations of terrorism financing, cybercrime subversion, criminal conspiracy, and treasonable felony. His invitation came in the wake of a night raid by the police on the NLC National Secretariat in Abuja. The police are alleging a link between the Labour leader and a Briton, Andrew Wine, who has been accused of financing the recent #EndBadGovernance or #hunger protests in the country to allegedly overthrow the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, in a recent development, the Zamfara state government has firmly denied allegations that it paid substantial amounts of money to bandits for dialogue, reaffirming recently its commitment to combating crime, including banditry, kidnapping across the state. A press briefing held in Gusau, the secretary to the state government, Abubakar Nakwada, condemned the documents circulating online, which claim that the government had released funds to stop the bandit leaders, or rather to top them. Nakwada labeled these documents as fake, misleading, malicious, and completely false. He further explained that the documents, purportedly carrying his signature and those of other high-ranking officials, were forged. Nakwada assured the public that security agencies were fully informed and actively working to trace the origin of these false claims on social media. The SSG also refuted suggestions that payments had been made to media figures under the guise of reconciliation efforts through the State Security Trust Fund. Nakwada clarified that the alleged memo, which supposedly originated from his office and was directed to Governor Lawal, was entirely fabricated and mischievous. He reiterated that the state government has maintained a consistent policy against negotiating with bandits or terrorists. Now on to party politics. The Labour Party, led by Julius Aburi, has disclosed that Peter Obi, Governor Alex Oti, and Dati Baba Ahmed were responsible for the crisis faced by the party. The Deputy National Chairman of Labour Party under Aburi, Ayo Olorunfemi, said it was regrettable that Obi, Oti, Dati, and Nenadi Usman, whom they accommodated, have turned to destabilize the party. Olorunfemi said the stakeholders meeting held in Abia State that appointed Nenadi as National Caretaker Chairman of Labour Party cannot stand because it was illegal. He added that Nenadi is not a registered member of the party in her word. In an interview via a Monitor television program just yesterday, he disclosed, and I quote, "What you saw in that video is an operation of people who love playing to the gallery. These are people we accommodated. They were out there in the sun, in the rain. We accommodated them just a few years ago." How many years ago? 2 years ago. Some of them are not even yet registered members. Reacting to the question that the Abia stakeholders meeting had all the leaders of Labour Party, including Peter Obi and Dati, Labour Party senators and House of Representatives members, he said no leader of the party was in the meeting. He argued that it was an over-assumption to say Labour Party would not have been anything without Peter Obi. He stated that Nigerians are interested in who will deliver them and not the EFCC from seizing properties belonging to Bliss Multinational Perfections Limited and Bribena, which are clearly not proceeds of crime. Justice Dashan also disclosed, or rather declared, the seizure and sealing of properties belonging to Bliss Multinational Perfections Limited as unlawful. The court further described as unlawful the instructions given to Brebena's bankers by the EFCC to place a post-no debt lien or freeze his accounts. The EFCC was perpetually restrained from inviting, harassing, arresting, detaining, threatening to arrest or detaining the plaintiffs as a result of the civil dispute between Baraza Multipurpose Capital Society Limited and its members, or on matters arising from the registered business objects of the cooperative society. The sum of 10 million naira was awarded as exemplary damages against the EFCC for the unlawful seizure and attachment of properties belonging to Bliss Multinational and Brebena. You're currently listening to the World News at 12 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We took a very short break. When we return, we'll definitely head into a news analysis segment. This time around, I'm being joined he's actually right here in the studio, Mr. Peter Anosike, who is a political, national, and social affairs commentator. Mr. Peter Anosike is one of the best-selling authors in Africa. Let's take a brief break and we'll be right back. Welcome back, Mr. Peter Anosike. Thank you for joining me on the World News at 12.
Thank you for having me.
Let me start off with this particular contempt of court case against Olukoyede, the EFCC chairman. It's not surprising. This is not the first time we've heard about government officials, especially those responsible for certain agencies, who are liable to actually not obey court orders. You recall the former SAC DSS, that is DSS Bichi, the former director of the DSS, was also held on contempt of court. Now we're hearing
several
occasions, although we didn't hear anything that transpired after the court order. Now Olukoyede too may face the same thing. Now we recall that Yahaya Bello's case is still on ground. Olukoyede himself disclosed publicly that if Yahaya Bello is not arrested or prosecuted, he will definitely step down or he will resign from his position as the EFCC chairman. At this moment, we've not heard anything whatsoever concerning the prosecution of Yahaya Bello. We don't even know if he's within their custody or their grasp. We've not had any information whatsoever from that quarter. And then we're hearing about this contempt of court case. What's your take on this development?
Well, for me, an individual or an agent of government becomes a fugitive of the court when they are not following due process.
Okay.
When they are not doing the right thing. What I mean by fugitive of the court is that because they don't have what they will use to prosecute their case, they will start running away from the court.
Okay, but the question is, this court has, unless he obeys the direction contained in this order, he'll be guilty of contempt of court and will be liable to be committed to prison. Now, whenever we see this order come from the court, a lot of people don't take it serious because they just put it out there, maybe for protocol reasons. At the end of the day, they don't even appear and then they don't go to prison as the court has actually stated.
Well, my prayer is that Olukoyede should be used as an example.
What causes this high-handedness?
Because these people who are supposed to protect the law are always the ones that are breaking it.
So, for example, a matter is still in court. You seize properties belonging to a particular corporation or a company, and you allege that they are clearly proceeds of crime. According to you, they are clearly proceeds of crime. But the case has not been eventually rounded off in court for you to declare that those properties are proceeds of crime. You go on your own jurisdiction, seal off those properties, and then I'm even hearing that in terms of situations that have occurred within this court case, they're asking that he should be restrained from inviting, harassing, arresting, detaining, threatening to arrest or detain the plaintiff as a result of this. But this is a civil dispute. So why would all of these threats be on if the matter is in court?
The truth is that it is it is only a court of competent jurisdiction that has the power to declare any property proceed of crime, not EFCC.
Okay.
It is not EFCC. EFCC responsibility is to present a matter to the court and then prove beyond every reasonable doubt that this is a proceed of crime. They don't have any right to go and seal up a property without a permission or an order from the court. The court has not declared that this property is a proceed of crime. It is because the EFCC chairman knows that he's not doing the right thing. That's why he had become a fugitive of the court. It is only in Nigeria that our security agencies will, first of all, arrest an individual or seize their property before now asking the individual, what did you do?
Interesting.
They'll first of all arrest an individual before asking the individual, what did you do? Then when the person becomes surprised, the security agencies will now become a physical. So you are not talking, and they will now begin to brutalize the individual because they have not done what they are supposed to do. They've not investigated any case. But in other cities of the world, the security agencies will first of all investigate a case, conclude the case before going to arrest an individual. If there's a petition that a property is a proceed of crime, they'll first of all go and do their investigations before going to the court. But in their nonchalant attitude, in their disobedience to the law, they first of all go and seal a property before now taking all the matter to the court.
And it has always been their pattern over time with high-profile cases, especially these individuals supposedly have the financial means.
Which is not what it should be, which is illegal. So my prayer is that this court should use the current EFCC chairman that's a set example by committing him to prison so that they'll begin to do the right thing because they know that they have done bad, because they know that they did not follow due process. That's why he had become a fugitive of the court. So somebody must be used as a scapegoat in this issue. So it's not just declaring him, threatening him with contempt. And this should be enforced so that they should learn their lessons.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Peter Anosike. That's a very interesting one. I hope that is addressed as quickly as possible. And I hope actually that he responds to that particular court order. Otherwise, I want to know if the court will live up to what it had disclosed on the order written to him. Let's look at the internal situation within the Labour Party. It has become quite embarrassing. There have been several back and forth. In fact, I've been listening to explanations from some of the Labour Party chairs, and they're too technical. At the moment, I recall when the imbroglio happened or started off with Arabambi and Lamidi Akpakpa, and questions were being asked as to when will Peter Obi intervene to see how they could resolve the internal conflict within the Labour Party. Otherwise, the center of the Labour Party will be neutralized and possibly will no longer have a Labour Party. Now, Peter Obi has decided to intervene and do what he knows what is supposed to be done, along with the governor of Abia State. But we're hearing a lot of situations right now. The Labour Party is accusing Peter Obi, Alex Oti, Dati Baba Ahmed as those responsible for the crisis faced by the party.
Well, for me, calling stakeholders meeting is different from calling National Working Committee meeting.
Okay.
So what held in Abia was stakeholders meeting. And Peter Obi, Dati Ahmed, Alex Oti, and all other people are stakeholders of the party.
Okay.
They are not necessarily office holders. Office holders are different from stakeholders. Anybody who has an interest in any political party is a stakeholder.
Okay, so in what these party members are saying, for example, let me read out their phrase. They said they accommodated these people. They were out there in the sun, in the rain, and they accommodated them just a few years ago, basically 2 years ago. Some of them were not even registered members. So they are still considering them as strangers who have come to mutilate the sanctity of their party just because of the recent, would I say, shuffling that took place in Abia State with Peter Obi and Alex Soti.
Well, I want to tell them, whoever signed that statement, that Labour Party was a carcass before Peter Obi came into the party.
This particular individual, because I watched that interview, said that anybody is a Peter Obi, not necessarily him. The Peter Obi is a hungry man who is angry at this current party's method of administration. A Peter Obi is someone who can no longer continue with insecurity in the country. A Peter Obi is somebody who can no longer continue with the forex exchange affecting food. So if they're saying anybody can be a Peter Obi, not necessarily him. In other words, he is not a god. So the party can survive literally without him. If that's what were they thinking, or what did they think they knew? Why was he used for the 2023 election that gave the party the kind of popularity it gained?
I say that Labour Party was dead before Peter Obi came and breathed into it, and it became a living being.
Okay.
Who has ever bothered with a Labour Party in the country?
Okay, so what do you think would have happened?
Has they ever gotten a House of Reps member? Has they ever gotten a senator, let alone a state? So the Labour Party is just what it is today because of Peter Obi. Has Labour Party ever filed a case at the appeal court over a presidential case? Have they? So they were just shoe shiners before Peter Obi, that Ahmed came and made them a force to be reckoned with. And if these people exit the party today, it will go back to what it was before 2022.
Now, a lot of persons or political analysts like yourself believe that the first step Peter Obi should take, if at all he intends to have a strong stand for ahead of 2027, is for him to create the Obedient political party. You know, the Obedient is a political movement. He's saying that he should create a party because already they feel that this current administration has infiltrated the Labour Party, and everyone there is being used to mutilate the effort of Peter Obi's political career, or what Peter Obi represents to the majority of his supporters. At this point in time, would you now advise that Peter Obi should literally, diligently consider that prospect of creating another political party, despite the fact that he was once in ABGA, then PDP, now Labour Party? Don't you think his opponents will throw this at him?
It doesn't make sense. Most important thing is where you will be, a platform that you will be and serve the people.
Okay.
ABGA wasn't big enough for him. ABGA is seen as a regional party. ABGA, since its inception, has had an Anambra indigene as their national chairman. So that makes it, that's a regional party. For you to contest for the president of a country, you need to be in a national party. So talking of Peter Obi creating a new party, Peter Obi, there's no need creating a new party. The Obedient can simply move into another political party.
All right.
They can simply move into another political party. They can form an alliance with other political parties. They can form a coalition with other political parties.
The Obedient movement, I think Eunice Atanko has spoken and reiterated on that fact about a coalition with other political parties, that for now they are still in talks, but nothing major yet is on ground. I recall Pat Utomi too made that reference that they are still talking. But for now, there have been, like I said earlier, there have been calls, serious calls for Peter Obi to come to put the party together, to see how we can ensure that the internal imbroglio brewing within the party is stunted. Julius Abure was one person that Peter Obi had shown support on several occasions, especially at the time when they were going to court during the election tribunal and eventually the Supreme Court. All right, Peter Obi Abure represented at the Supreme Court over and over and all through the election tribunal. So how come, for example, that now the Julius Abure is now a problem?
Because his tenure has expired.
There is more to this.
Because his tenure has expired, and him remembering in the party is causing a lot of divisions. So they need a neutral person who will be able to unify the different interests in the party.
But some of the stakeholders of the party are saying that the persons that Peter Obi and Alex Otte had put in charge are persons of the obedient movement, not even the integral Labour Party members. That's what they're actually alleging, and that's why they feel that they've come to take over their party. So if that's the case, are we going to see a recurring of the whole Arabambi, Abayomi, and Lamidi Akpakpa situation that transpired earlier? And another thing to also consider again, they keep blaming this current administration of utilizing persons within the Labour Party to truncate the supposed manifesto that the party represents to the ordinary Nigerian that supported that political party in the first place in 2023. Now, with all of this anomaly, do you think Labour Party can be trusted? And how do you think the party can salvage themselves to regain the trust they had gotten in 2023 ahead of 2027?
The trust that they got was not the Labour Party as an organization, but the obedience.
Okay.
The obedience, and the obedience is a movement. So for the party to come back, for the party to become one again, they need a neutral person.
All right.
Not a bure, not a papa. They need a neutral person that can unify the different interests.
What if these individuals begin to decampaign? Because right now you have the opposition already decampaigning Peter Obi, which is normal. So if you have the opposition decampaigning Peter Obi, then you now have the Labour Party decampaigning him again. Then where does that place him? Where does that place his political career? Where does that place those who are supporting him and fighting for him within the Labour Party? And how will this actually center, all right, his political career ahead of 2027? Unless he doesn't intend to contest again.
I want to tell you that this present administration, by their misgovernance, are playing into Peter Obi's hand. They are playing into the obedience hand. By the hardship, by the insecurity, by all the anomalies, by the aberration that they are creating, by the impunity that they are creating in this country, they are playing into Peter Obi's hand. People are still seeing Peter Obi as their messiah. So the more unpopular the Tinubu administration becomes, the advantageous it is for Peter Obi.
Do you think Peter Obi still has that popularity? Have you been to X? There's this heavy campaigning going on from the opposition parties.
It's being sponsored by the APC. It's being sponsored by the APC, and those people are texting with empty stomach, because they don't have their own market anywhere. They don't have their own filling station anywhere. This is just a bunch of hypocrites texting with empty stomach. How much are they being given in a month? 20,000 naira. What can he do for them?
So right now, if Julius Abure is condemning and distancing himself from what happened just yesterday or 2 days ago, then where does he stand? Is Julius Abure still the recognized chairman of the Labour Party?
Politically, Julius Abure has been a shoe shiner. It is Peter Obi that made him a force to be reckoned with.
So why has he refused to step down if he has cases on him?
Before, who knows who bothers about LP in this country? So they should be grateful to Peter Obi, at least for bringing them to national recognition. 2021, do you know who Abore is? I don't know. I've not even heard that name.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Peter Onosike. Finally, before I let you go, the National Association of Nigerian Students have insisted on going ahead with a planned nationwide protest against the increase in petrol. You recall that 2 or 3 days ago, later NAN wrote and denounced that they ever made such a statement. They only warned that the government should do the needful and that security agencies should try as much as possible to ensure that the current insecurity in the country is curbed. Now we're seeing again today President of NANS, Henry Okwomo, confirming the plans via a monitor television program that they are not threatening strike, but they are going to do because of the current situation in the country. Nigerians are currently facing a lot. We're facing hardship, and now the government has increased fuel prices again. This has affected us as students, and as student leaders, we don't have a choice now but to fight for the people. So they are occupying one of the largest stakes in the country, having over 40 million Nigerian students in the country. So he's saying that they did not want to go on strike before, but with the way things are right now, they need to protest because things have become so hard. So what stopped them from going on initially? Who told them that things wouldn't get worse than what they were now?
For me, NANS has become politicized. NANS has become docile. The social media has taken the fire out of NANS. In my
social media.
Okay. I'm telling you, most of them are now occupied with social media. They don't even know what is going on in the country.
So are you saying that NANS has been infiltrated by the government? The government uses them as weed.
Some of them are now PDP agents, APC agents.
So whenever they make statements or utterances like this, we shouldn't take them serious.
It depends on the faction that is speaking. Because in our university days, there will not be water in the VC's house if waters are not running in the hostel. There will never be water in the vice chancellor's house if water is not running in the hostel. We will march to the vice chancellor's house and pour out all the water there.
According to what he is actually saying, he said, I'm going to read out, we have determined that on the 15th of this month, being September, no going back. We're hitting the street hard. We're going to demand not only for a reduction in fuel price, but for other things that are affecting the nation in general. We are going to do it. We'll hit the streets if the government does not reverse most of the hardship policies before then. With what we're experiencing now and what the NNPC has disclosed to us, do you think there'll be any reversal? Because just yesterday, Kashim Shettima called the National Security Advisor, called the Military, right? I think he also called one person, Heineken Lokoberi. These individuals had to explain that supply would eventually come in play, but that the prices may not go down, that right now the market is deregulated. Mr. Peter Hanosike, how is the market deregulated if NNPC is the sole importer, NNPC is the sole supplier, NNPC is, okay, there are other marketers that distribute as well. And then in the situation with Dangote, Dangote has affirmed that NNPC will be the sole buyer and the Federal Executive Council will be the ones to determine the price peg. So what exactly are they saying? What are we confused about?
What they said, they made kind of statements. Understand? I read what the Minister of State for Petroleum said, that the most important thing is that fuel is available. To me, that is a stupid talk.
No, he said fuel will be available, but the price will not go down.
The most important, when you are talking about products, if you have any modicum of economic sense, it is availability and affordability. Two things, availability and affordability. It has to be available and then affordable. If it's everywhere and nobody is affording it, it doesn't make sense.
Sure.
It doesn't make sense. So if the fuel will be available, it has to be affordable. Otherwise, they are encouraging another round of protests.
Omoyele Sowore wrote on his X account that right now, beyond having to wait till October 1, anybody who wants to go on the street to protest should protest, because at the moment, ideally, nothing has changed from when they went on the NBAD governance protest on August 1st to the 10th. We've seen a rampage of arrests taking place. We've had several stories coming from the presidency as to those who were apprehended. Mr. Peter Hanosike, as it stands, do you think if NANS decides to go on another nationwide protest or go on an economic shutdown, that wouldn't see a force majeure or a stifling restrictive measure being placed on them with what transpired the hashtag NBAD governance protest?
One, for me, I'll be disappointed if they don't go. I'll be highly disappointed if they don't go, because protest is their fundamental human right.
Okay.
Protest is my fundamental human right. Protest is your own fundamental human right. We have that undeniable right to protest when those that will give power and trust is not doing what we want them to do.
Okay. So what if they have a meeting with the government before then and then they change their mind? Because according to what Joe Ajaero said, the reason why they accepted the 70,000 naira minimum wage was that the conversation they had verbally with the presidency was that if it's either they choose 250,000 naira and fuel price increment, or they take 70,000 naira as minimum wage and have fuel selling at 600 and something. Now, Joe Ajari is alleging that they were actually, betrayed, that the conversation they had, the federal government derailed on it. Now, the presidency came to say they never made such a statement, they never made such an utterance, that they have always been clear with the fact that the industry is deregulated, and they never made such promises. So did Joe Ajari go with the president in the meeting and then just cook up stories without having any fundamental viable facts with him?
Esther, when Ajero, when they accepted the 70,000 minimum wage,
yes,
Ajero addressed the nation, stating the reason why they accepted 70,000 naira, and he stated that because the president promised there will be no increment in the price of petroleum products. Why didn't they deny the statement at that time? Why didn't they say this is not what we agreed?
So we're saying now, between the both, who is lying?
Federal government.
Mr. Peter Anosike, thank you so much for taking your time and sharing your perspective on the World News at 12. We sincerely do appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And now to wrap up here again are the top stories. You heard that police to grill NLC President Ajari September 25 on terrorism financing. Zamfara government disowns documents alleging payments of huge funds to bandits for dialogue. Labour Party accuses Peter Obi, Alex Oti of fueling party crisis, and court threatens to commit EFCC chairman to prison over contempt. That's a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Esther Machuku. Up next is Area Matter with Alaji.